Reimagining Success, episode 228. You're listening to the Reimagining Success podcast, where we help you design a business and a life that allows you freedom from the 9-to-5. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg, ex-corporate good girl, now a business mentor and coach, author, mum of 2, and I'm here to help you create more freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Now let's get started with redefining success outside of the 9-to-5. Hello there, and welcome back as we reflect on how you can be a better boss to yourself in particular. And I know that sounds odd, but the truth is that as the CEO of your own business, as a freelancer, solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and even as an employee, you are your own boss. And so it's easy to blame other people, the job, the company, the situation for the stress that we're in. But really, we have so much agency and so much, unfortunately, blame, I suppose, but certainly ownership, responsibility to take in this situation when it comes to the stress that we're under, the pressure, how we're managing our time and so on. Now, I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. And, it can feel, I guess there's feelings of guilt and even more pressure, because now, oh my goodness, it's not even that I can say that it's something external, it's me, and now I have to fix all this stuff. And that's not what I'm trying to say, but it's actually incredibly empowering. I teach a stress and resilience workshop, and one of the big pieces of resilience is that you focus on the things that you can control. And of course, we hear it again and again in social media memes, but it's true that you can't influence the things that happen to you, but you can influence how you respond, right? So even if it's true that you're in a really stressful situation and so on, which, let's be honest, is often the case, unfortunately, we still have the power, the agency to respond in a way that will minimize the damage it causes, I suppose. And so we're talking about this all in the context of flexible working and work-life balance and boundaries and all these things, right? So again, it's easy to blame the job, the manager, the economy. And I talk about leaving the 9-to-5, of course, and it's easy to demonize that whole construct. And yes, there are many reasons that I think it's not fit for purpose anymore. It's not something that works for the modern way of living and working, and it's something that we can and should challenge. I talk about those two sets of reasons as well, pushing you out of that world, the toxic work culture, disconnect with your values, bad boss, long commute, poor work-life balance, and so on. And then the pull reasons, pulling you towards something different, more freedom, autonomy, flexibility, fulfillment, and so on. But as we've shared as well in the last few weeks, of course, the lines have been a bit blurred because flexible working is becoming more the norm, even in the corporate construct. So the 9-to-5 is being a bit blurred, is being poked and prodded a bit. The 4-day work week, hybrid working. So there are some exciting developments happening. And certainly my own thinking has evolved over the years as well. But I suppose, and I wrote a blog post on this on my personal brand website, annalundberg.com, a while ago, where I said, perhaps a bit insultingly, when the problem is you, not the job. Because, of course, I've shared many times that I have self-diagnosed myself with good girl syndrome. My upbringing, my education, I tend to look for external validation. I also talk about the curse of the high achiever, when we have that drive to perform, to equate achievement with hard work and so on. And I know that resonates with a lot of you as well. And there is a culture, there's a tone set by senior management as to how you manage your time and energy, when you're expected to pick up calls, emails outside your working hours, how much your well-being and family needs are taken into account and so on. And of course, it's hard to set boundaries and no one respects them, or when doing so will have a negative impact on your career prospects. But the truth is, it really does come down to you. Your habits, your mindset, your choices. And that's an empowering thought, in fact, because it means that you have the power to control how you live and work. And I'm playing around with a bit of a Venn diagram of you, your team, and your organization at the moment. And if you think of you as an individual. All the work that I do with my clients in the Business Academy, it's the whole first section of my book, Outside of the 9 to 5, and the first pillar of defining success. It starts with you having a clear vision for your life and career, you having clear values, your purpose, an understanding of your strengths and skills, that sense of balance, prioritizing self-care, having clear priorities, setting boundaries. That is, and I hesitate to put a figure on it, but it's certainly a large chunk of contributing factors when it comes to how you're feeling, how on top of your work you are, how flexible and chill your day is at work. Again, whether you're a solopreneur or in a bigger team, right? If you're managing a broader team as your own business or in a company. So really it starts with those factors, your vision, your values, your priorities, your boundaries, right? And that's really, really important. It's up to you to identify and communicate your boundaries. You're responsible for being clear on your priorities. Yes, when I was junior, I struggled to know what was a priority. I should and could turn to my boss to ask, okay, is this the priority or that? But really now, at this point in our career, we have the power and the opportunity to say no. We can and should drop certain balls. And yes, ultimately, we have the option to quit our job and go to a different employer or to do our own thing. But the important thing is that you then still have the responsibility to behave differently. Because the reason why I called that article When the Problem Is You, Not the Job, is that I see again and again, we take those same habits and behaviors with us when we quit our job, when we change from one job to another. If we have the same good girl, good boy, overachiever habits and behaviors ingrained in us, then we're not actually going to, see any of the benefits really from changing employer, changing business. And, there might be some initial benefits, some initial excitement from the change. You have that promise of things being different and so on, but soon enough, the same issues will return because, again, you've brought those same habits and behaviors with you. So again, whether you're starting your own business or you're simply senior in your organization, you need to manage yourself, not to mention then your team members. So I'd really love for you to ask yourself, how would you want your boss to behave? What kind of role modeling behaviors would you like to see from your boss? And then that means, of course, that's how you should be behaving. What example do you want to set for your team? What processes, parameters do you want to put in place? Coming back to this Venn diagram, I talked about your role in making flexible working and so on work for you. Have a think about your team, right? The team needs to have clearly defined roles and responsibilities. And that goes for whether it's me and my social media assistant, podcasting editor, whoever else, accountant and so on. And it goes for you if you've got a broader team, multifunctional team in the office. Clear processes, trust, communication, obviously training in the right areas, including things like time management and so on, right? So is that something you can consider for yourself or even for your team members to upskill in those areas, to learn some new hacks for managing your time more effectively? So that's your team. And then the organization, yes, of course, their flexible working practices. We talked about this the other week in terms of what they allow in terms of job share and remote and flexi time, compressed time, term time working, all those things. That has a factor, plays a factor. The organizational culture, even more so, support from senior levels, the attitudes, the mindset, because of course it's one thing to have it on paper, it's another to actually live and breathe it. And then, how your performance is measured, because if it's still measured on, let's say in law, billable hours and so on, then, it doesn't matter how effectively you manage your time because it's still based on sort of how many hours, you're in the office and all of those traditional kind of clocking in, clocking out. So I'm speaking to you whatever your role is, but what I find particularly interesting as a business owner myself is that we no longer have the possibility to blame someone else. I can't even blame clients because if I have a client, whether it's an individual or a company, B2C or B2B, I've chosen to work with that client. I've got myself into such situation potentially, and it happens less and less now, it hasn't happened in a long time, where I've perhaps become resentful because I haven't set my boundaries. I haven't been clear. I haven't said no. And that's my fault. And I'm not talking, it doesn't matter. It's not about the blame. The positive point here is that I have the capacity to change it. So I think it's a really interesting thought experiment to think, okay, what would your ideal boss be like? And can you be that person for yourself? Now, if you have team members, whether in your own business or in a bigger company, then that's amazing, because that just means you'll be a better manager, director, leader for them. But really, for your own selfish purposes, how can you be a better boss to yourself? How can you truly be the CEO of your life, if we're going to get dramatic? So it starts again with you, the individual, with your vision, your values, and so on, your priorities, your boundaries. Of course, you then need to think about the roles and responsibilities of the team and so on, the processes. And then, even if it's just you, why don't you have a go at defining the culture, the values, the flexible working practices, the policies, and so on for your own company? Again, even if it's just you, how do you measure your performance? How do you know at the end of the day, the week, the month, the year, how you've done? And of course, there are the traditional business metrics of sales, revenue, profits, and so on. But what else? Is it that you were able to work no more than 3 days a week? Is it that you, never missed a whatever it is from Darling Johnny? I don't know, school performance, football for your daughter, street dance, whatever, date night with your partner, whatever it is, measuring success. There are so many different ways. And that's also something I'm passionate about, of course, but really thinking about being your own boss, role modeling those behaviors for yourself, for your family, by the way, for your children, for your partner, for other people who hopefully see your guiding, shining light as an example. But really being that boss, because again, yes, it puts more pressure on us, I suppose, if we have more scope to change things and to set these parameters and so on. But really, it is down to us. We do have free will. We're adults. And, nobody can force us. Even I find myself sometimes with kids saying, oh, they made me da-da-da. It's like, no, they didn't make me do anything today. I chose to. Maybe I was pushed into a situation where they made me carry them because they were tired. No, they haven't made me carry them, have they? So I've chosen to give in to carrying them, or whatever it is. That was a silly example. But, nobody makes us do anything, thankfully, in our world, hopefully. And so really, bit of agency, bit of a deep breath, set those boundaries, set those clear priorities, and think about what kind of boss do I want to be for myself, for my family, hopefully your partner doesn't want you to be a boss perhaps, but still they want you to be a collaborative partner, a colleague, friend. And how do we want to show up for our team and so on? Because it's something that we just don't think about. We don't take it perhaps seriously enough when it's just little us in a business as a freelancer, solopreneur, whatever you want to call yourself. But who knows, your business might grow in the future, and you want to make sure that you're setting those processes and culture in place from day one. And even if it's only ever going to be you, all the more reason to make sure you're designing it to work for you. It's up to you to design, we'll talk about this next week, your dream job, your dream business, and have all those flexible working practices and work-life balance that you so dreamed of perhaps when you started the business. Let me know what you think about this one. It was more sort of a mindset shift, a reframe, if you want, of who's responsible for these things. How can you be a better boss to yourself? That's the question I leave you with, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next week. Bye for now.
If you're finding yourself stressed, torn between your work and your personal life, and at risk of burnout, whether you're in a full-time corporate job or working for yourself, and even or maybe especially if you are successful from the traditional perspective of job title, salary, income, then now is the time to make some changes. It is absolutely possible, I believe and know it is possible, to have a thriving career, a thriving business, and also have time for everything and everyone else that matters in your life. Get in touch to book a free consultation to discuss how we can work together to help you reshape your business, reshape your priorities, so that business, so that your career fits around those priorities in your life, rather than trying to make it work the other way around. So you can book that free call at onestepoutside.com/call, and I look forward to speaking to you.